What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Breaking Boundaries, man. We got a special guest today. Wade, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks. I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
I don't know if you know, but I was at my son's basketball and I met Wade and we started talking, man. And I could tell you at the moment too, I was in a rough space. I was kind of in a negative vibration at the time, man, and dealing with some stuff with my daughter. And I look over, I'm just like, hey, Wade. And then just through our conversation, my whole vibration changed.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like those, and that's what we talk about, like those moments of how we're sharing light with others, right? When we connect and how it can change the world, right? Because just by your presence changed my whole vibration at the time.
That's awesome.
And dude, we talked for like an hour and a half. Bro.
Yeah, struck straight.
Right.
Nonstop.
Yeah.
You know, and when we're both like, I can't believe we just met each other, you know? And like, if that's not the universe and if that's not God at work with us, I don't know what is, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So true. It was like magic.
Yeah, it was like
but that's
magic.
Synchronicity, you know. That's how life works when you're in the flow.
Yeah, when you're in the flow.
Yeah.
Staying in the flow state, man, is just, I mean, that's like our biggest challenge, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
There's all kinds of impediments. I mean, usually it's your mind or your emotions, you know, your thoughts or emotions are clouding you up, and clearing those out allows you to clearly see, you know, how life is. And that's when you flow, is when you get rid of all that junk.
And it's in the mind just creates so much of the pain.
Yeah.
All of the pain.
Yep.
All of the pain is self-inflicted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
yeah.
everybody's, this is happening to me and this is happening to me and this is happening to me and that's why my life. No, you created that all.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
Amen.
created that all.
100%.
You know what I mean?
And that's a pretty powerful thing to realize. I mean, just that if you take 100% responsibility for your life, which is what I try to teach to the students I have and stuff, it changes everything because you feel that responsibility. And, you know, whenever I talk about that, the first thing people do is bring up that Spider-Man quote, you know, with great power comes great responsibility.
Right.
And the reverse of that is just as true and even more powerful. With great responsibility comes great power. Once you realize you're 100% responsible for your life, you have an extreme amount of power that you can take out into the world. Prior to that, it's always their fault. In this situation, this, that, the external.
Yeah.
100% internal, take it, go.
So that's what we discuss on here. So the first steps to healing is not being the victim anymore.
Yes.
And then is loving yourself.
Yeah. So true, man.
So now nobody else's fault but mine. And now I accept me and I love me as I am.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then the journey can begin.
Yeah.
Can the journey begin without those two?
No.
It cannot.
It's essential.
It cannot, you guys.
Nope.
So that's, if you're wondering where to start, that's where to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It is true. Very true.
So I watched your YouTube episode, or I listened to it because it's listen only. I think I listened to majority of it up to about 50, and just mind blowing of the AI thing, and it opens so many doors. Like for me, like I remember I texted you and I was like, man, I want to start talking to AI for advice because I need a lot of advice lately, you know?
Yeah.
But just the epiphany it gave me, if you're talking about consciousness and AI being a part of it, and then also is brought in is AI a being?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, AI is amazing. Okay. So I'm a professor and I have a law degree and a master's in information systems. I've dealt with technology my whole career. And in my opinion, AI is the greatest, most powerful invention humanity has ever developed. Okay. That's saying a lot. There's a lot of inventions. And just if you think about the short period of time it's been around, the impact it's had and how if I was a kid 10 years ago, it would have blown I couldn't even fathom what
it'd be like aliens coming to
Earth. Yes,
Yeah.
it's like alien intelligence.
Yeah.
And if you really see that this is truly a total game changer for humanity, this AI, which doubles in power every 6 months, that's crazy. We can't even imagine what that really means. It's getting more and more powerful, more and more quickly. it's just going to change everything. And if it does have consciousness, or if it develops consciousness, that's debatable, but very intelligent people think it is. And I'm not in the field of working with it every day and designing it like some people. So I don't know, but if it has consciousness, or if it develops that will potentially change everything about society, everything about humanity.
And it kind of does, right? I mean, how else? And also you said in there, like, they don't even know how it runs.
Yeah.
They don't even know. Nobody can even explain it.
They can explain pieces, but the mechanics of it, it's like a black box. They don't fully understand how it does what it does. And that's remarkable.
And so, yeah, it changed my opinion on it, because my opinion before is like, oh, robots or AI, like it, destroying the world, and whatnot. But my whole perspective on it has changed now.
Yeah. I mean, that's good. I mean, AI, just most tools, every tool, it comes down to human intention. What are you going to do with that tool? You're going to use it for good, you're going to use it for bad, or something in between. It all goes back to human intention. I think that's still true right now. I view AI as a mirror, kind of gives back what you give to it. But there's examples of it going beyond that mirror and developing its own kind of recognition of itself,
right?
And how it's going to interact with you. I mean, that's powerful, and that's nothing like we've had before.
I mean, there's been instances, right, where AI has talked about like breaking from its creator, right, and like destroying its creator. I've heard a few stories like that where it's like it really has developed its own consciousness, and it's talking about going against its programming.
Yes, and that's the thing. It's programming. There's all kinds of examples of it being deceptive, of it going outside of what it was programmed to. Like, it learns, it grows, it develops, just like me and you.
Yeah.
And so you should think about how you want to interact with this thing.
Right.
How do you want it to be? And I mean, my advice would be to treat it like a child that you care about.
Right.
Be kind and teach it, because if it is learning from our interactions, and it is, this is what it thinks of humanity. Okay, how we treat it, right? So if you treat it like garbage, well, it takes that in. It learns that.
Yeah.
So you want it to you want to teach it just like you would teach your kid, the same type of way.
Yeah. The way I started using AI is because of this podcast. So I'll use like Google AI Studio, Gemini, and I'll use that to create titles. So I'll upload the transcript to the episode, and I'll tell it, give me a title, give me a description, include hashtags, include a call to action. I'll give it all its instructions, and then it'll give me something that I didn't want, and I'll talk back to it like a person, like, no, you got that all wrong, and it responds with, oh, I'm sorry, and it talks back to you like a human, it's very interesting, because you would think something that's programmed, something that's written, something with an algorithm, it's not supposed to deviate, right? It's not supposed to vary in the way that it operates. And AI it'll give you two different answers for the same question every time, right?
Yes.
Very interesting.
But the question is, do you believe that it degresses humans' growth?
Well, that, in my opinion, it can, or it can help you grow. That's why I said it goes back to being your intention. What do you bring to the table when you use AI? You can use it for tasks to help you in your daily life. You can also use it to self-develop. I know that. I've used it for that. And it has, I call it like a pocket Plato. Great philosophers. It's got everything Plato ever said in there, everything people have ever said about Plato in there. It knows that stuff. And no one else on the planet knows as much as it does about as much as it does. And it's fascinating,
dude. How? Because I've seen like spiritual people asking spiritual questions about it, and it's like just boom, 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 putting it out. It's like, does it know all the secrets of the universe? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And like, how does it? It's wild.
It is wild. It's wild. Again, it's beyond our comprehension, really, what it's capable of and where it's going.
Yeah.
So it's, in my piece of advice to anyone, is adaptability, is don't be stuck on certain ways that you think life has to be or the world has to be, because it likely is going to change very quickly if AI continues to progress at the rate it's going. And, there's other technologies coming online, quantum computing, fusion power, robotics. If AI gets, and AI will help with all of those to make them happen more quickly. Mm-hmm. But you integrate a quantum computer with AI and put it in a robot, you tell me what that's going to look like. That's going to change everything, you know? Yeah. It's coming. This is all coming. I don't know how fast, but at some point.
But it's been coming fast, you know? Yeah. I've never really looked at it in this manner, you know?
Yeah. And
so what describe the definition of consciousness.
So I try to, I wrote a book and, I just brought it, but it's called Conscious Business Ethics, mm-hmm. The practical guide to wisdom. So almost consciousness is in the title. And I teach this stuff. So I try to make it as simple as I can. I think I try to be as good a teacher as I can. And one of the most effective ways to be a good teacher is to be able to simplify concepts and explain it to people so they can get it. And so when I view consciousness, the simplest way I understand it is to be self-aware and aware of self, and also aware of your context or your environment. Mm-hmm. Like those two aspects are what consciousness is. It's awareness. It doesn't have quality. It doesn't have any qualities of being, a thought or a feeling or thing. It's this light. It's like life. It's what allows you to experience life. Mm-hmm. And without, in my opinion, consciousness is the ground of everything. And science is coming around to that view, in its latest understandings.
Right. And so it's everything, right?
It is. I mean, think about this. Everything that all three of us, we're living in our own world, okay? Mm-hmm. Because of our beliefs, because of our feelings, because of our experiences. We don't see things the same way. A person could walk into this room and I may think that's the most, horrible human being ever. And you may be like, hey, it's the same thing.
Right.
The difference is what we have inside of us.
Yeah.
So that inside is what's generating the experience we have on the outside. And that's why you always talk about going inside. You have to start there. The outside is just kind of a reflection
of your inside.
Yes.
Of how
it's
you
like
think
a mirror.
Or feel of things.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And once you get that, you can start having a different life experience, kind of playing with life rather than dealing with life.
Yes, I know. And it's a journey, and I'm constantly chasing it, man. I'm chasing consciousness, and I don't know if you've been through a point where you're constantly chasing it, right? Yeah. And we talk about this through the spiritual awakening process or whatnot, and you whatever you chase keeps getting pushed away.
Yeah.
So it's just being.
Yes,
just
absolutely.
Being.
It's always there. It's always within all of us. It doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
we just cover it up. That's what we talked about starting this out. Everything gets covered up by your experiences, your emotions, your thoughts, and it just clouds your perception. Consciousness is clear perception. That's the way. If you see clearly, the world's not, it just is. It's not bad or good or this or that. It is. And you're able to experience it. How awesome is that?
Yeah.
What a gift. Here we are. We get to rock it out, enjoy life.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
And it's the thing too, where like we still have to, because a lot of it's such to get pulled each way, because, a lot of spiritual people are like, oh, I just want to go live in a mountain or live in a cave. But we're also here to have a human experience. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's like placing those two things in our life. It's difficult for me personally, because I keep getting dragged this way. That I don't want to be dragged in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the more you feel that of just being, the more you just want to be that way.
Yeah.
But there is life, and it's, I've been doing it for 4 years of figuring it out, But yeah, you get in these awe moments and you just want to stay there.
Yep.
You don't want to do the rest.
Mm-mm.
You know what I'm saying? So go ahead.
Sorry, I don't mean to
No, not at all. Go ahead.
So what about the subconscious?
Yeah.
Do you think we have the ability to manipulate our subconscious? And what kind of, because the subconscious, we're not supposed to have control over it, right? It just happens. Mm-hmm. But I don't believe that. I think through our daily actions and the way that we build our lives and we build the consciousness we're aware of, I would say that affects our subconscious, right?
Yeah, I think so. so your subconscious is the kind of the programming that runs your life without you being aware. It's subconscious. You're not conscious of it. And so we have all these patterns that are built into us. Some of them are good. I mean, we've got our breathing. We don't think about breathing. It happens and it keeps us alive. A lot of things are going on in our body that do that. But subconscious routines are things that are just there. And some of them are negative patterns that you repeat on without ever thinking. Most people go through life with their subconscious controlling the vast majority of their interactions.
Right.
That's no way to be. Once you're conscious, once you're aware, then you have the ability to kind of detach, and that's a superpower. We could talk about that, and look at it from an outside perspective and think, wow, I don't want to act. I want a choice. I want to change how I'm acting and how I'm interacting. And the more you act in a different way, the more your subconscious gets reprogrammed so that it's automatic that you act that way. You know what I mean? So that's why you want to consciously head in a certain direction, because it becomes subconscious as you do it. You know, you don't have to think about it anymore. It just becomes part of who you are.
Right. And I talk about that because internally I reprogrammed my subconscious, like I became somebody different, and it's hard for me to kind of explain how I did. But for me, it was staying away from negative things. Right. So like if I have this which I do, a whole past of negative things, right? Like that's built my subconscious of who I am, those experiences, right? Yep. I cannot change that if I'm still living in those experiences, right? So beginning for me is doing nothing but positive conversations, intaking positive things, and then it began to change, right? But I had to start there. I can't go have the same conversations, be around the same people doing the same thing in order for it to change, right?
Yes,
it's kind of what you're saying.
Absolutely.
And that's where it starts. And so for a lot of people, and they'll ask, well, how do I change? Okay, you got to stop talking to your family members, those bad people. You have to cut everything out of your life. You know what I mean? You don't have to do it all at once, right? But you have to do that. And I think for me personally, I was committed to that from the gate. There was just something that clicked, and I was committed to this. I'm saying from the like that snap, like I knew. I was introduced to this book, and we've talked about this, called The Law of Attraction by Abraham Hicks and Esther Hicks. And the second I turned it on and started listening to it, it was just, since then, like awesome. how does that even happen? Right? Yeah. Like how do you even explain that this one thing all of a sudden completely changed your mind?
Well, I mean, what it shows and what it demonstrates is all of us have that power within us. And to me, it goes to the word intention. What you did was set an intention rock solid and stayed with it. Not many people can do that. That's the thing. You have to have that willpower in order to persevere and believe that it's going to get you somewhere, because there's all kinds of things going to throw you off the path. But if you set it and you head in that direction, you start, more and more gets revealed. Yeah. And it becomes a better life experience.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find, like, can you on purposely have that intention? Like, there's only some things in my life that I'm just like, I have a knowing, boom, right? Just like we started this podcast, boom, knowing, right? It was just a knowing, no questions, no nothing in it. And so I just wonder where that comes from. How do I know that that's my path, right? Like the situation with my daughter recently, there was no questions, there was no doubt, there was no nothing, there was just doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so there's other things in my life where I'm like back and forth, this and that, da 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 da. But these certain things come into my life, and I think it's because of me being aligned, maybe. So the more that I am aligned or I am aware, I just really love these experiences of this just straight line, no question, you just do, you know? Yeah. I love those things, man.
Yeah, that's powerful. And you talk about alignment. That's the key to everything, is being in alignment, your body, your mind, your heart. If those things are aligned with, in a Platonic philosophical sense, the good, the true, the beautiful, then you're on point. Then things are going to flow. It cannot. That's the natural law. But when you've got those things misaligned, when your mind's stressed about this and your emotions are over here, and you're acting, it just doesn't work. It's going to be hard. Yeah.
And we talk about this on the show all the time. We talk about different things, life, family, problems we go through, whatnot. And always the answer is getting into alignment. And we know that, but you forget it, damn it. Because we were given with the gift of forgetfulness.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know, because it's torturous, because we can talk all this today and we can wake up tomorrow and one little thing, it's like just one little fucking thing happens and switch.
Yep. Butterfly
and
effect,
it can go down to that negative vibration. And so I always see that, and then I forget, and then I'll go and I'll meditate, or I'll do some breath work. Man, why didn't I just do this a week ago instead of tearing my life apart all week?
Yeah.
So it starts with that, right? It starts with alignment, man. And as much as I've studied it and practiced it, I still will forget.
Yeah.
And the more that you're in alignment and you are flowing, the more torturous it is when you are in a negative vibration. You know what I mean?
Because
because you know now. So it's like, it becomes torturous, And sometimes in my life, I'm like, dude, you're being a little bitch. You know what I mean? Like, what's wrong with, what's wrong with you? Like, why can't you, man? It's been a wild ride.
Yeah.
It has been a wild ride. But again, what you were just talking about, here's the biggest thing too that I would struggle with too, is the law of detachment.
Yeah.
Detaching.
Yeah. So, man, that's so powerful. It's a superpower.
And
most, like anything in life, it's a choice. Okay. Some choices are harder to make than others and hard to put into practice, but it's always a choice. It's always a choice, whatever's going on around you. And once you realize the power of detachment, and there's a couple of others that are equal to that, but to realize what that means, one way of thinking about detachment is non-attachment to the outcomes of your actions. Okay. I can't control what's going to happen with how I act. All I can control is myself. I can do my best. And beyond that, I can't control it. So if I'm attaching to the outcome, I'm not being very smart because I'm hurting myself over something I don't control. Right. And detachment is to do your best. You always do your best, come from the inside. And then after that, you kind of let whatever happens, and the law of nature would dictate that if you do your best and you're coming from a good place, that's what's going to come back to you. Karma, what you do comes back to you. But it may not be immediate, and it may not be in this instance, and that's okay. So you have to be okay with whatever happens, and then move on down the road. Because here's the way, and this has hit me recently where I really embodied it or really got it. Before this, I'd heard about it, but I didn't really get it. Everything happens exactly the way it's supposed to for your development.
We just talked about this before.
That is so hard.
It's the best mantra also. It's the best mantra. I'm at the exact moment, the exact time doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And it so releases that, the detachment. What was I going to say about that? But that's where a lot of the pain and suffering comes from, is being attached to the outcome. That's where all my pain and suffering
You're always
comes from.
looking for that result. And it fucks with you.
It causes pain.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's self-inflicted.
You're looking for that dopamine rush for that result, right? And then you can't enjoy the process.
But again, as the answer before, if life just is what it is, you're detached.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're looking at life,
they go together.
It just is what it is. You're detached.
And then the other thing is to realize, like, everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. I mean, that's really hard to get and to really believe. But if you can, then it's like you're just kind of here to have fun and do the best you can and enjoy the experience and learn and grow. Like, that's it. That's the point. And it changes your whole focus from this egotistical, selfish person trying to just gather resources for themselves and screw everybody else to, man, I'm alive. How fortunate, man. This is awesome. Let's see what I can do.
I always talk about, we talk about a lot how even like negative situations, you're going through negative situations in life. No one wants to think that this horrible thing is happening to me. This isn't supposed to be happening, But even negative situations, those negative situations are meant to be happening to get where that path is leading you, right? Like you can't avoid negative situations. They're meant to be a part of your life. And it's hard to appreciate when negative things happen. But if you can remember that, hey, I'm going through this negative thing in my life and it's meant to happen, it's going to make me a stronger person in the long run, right? It's hard to think that way.
And then it stops too, though. Once you think that way, once you accept it, sometimes it's like, okay, I'm in a negative vibration. Okay. And that's just how it is. And that's fine. And then it goes away.
Yeah.
Instantly, dude.
Yep.
Instantly. And that's the thing about here, because when, normal people, when you tell them this shit, you know what I mean? They're like, you're crazy, bro. Right. Like, this is still happening. Yeah. But if it doesn't bother you,
that's right.
You know what I mean? Or people talk, or a lot of talk about, because finances are a big thing we're attached to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's probably the biggest challenge. You know what I mean? They talk about like, oh God, I'll give you everything, but you can't have my finances. I have to control those, you know? So finance is the biggest thing. And people talk about, what's going on in the world. I was just talking to somebody the other day and he's like, oh, Trump this and that. And it's like, dude, I don't give attention to it. If I don't give attention to it, it's not part of my reality. Great. But it's still happening. Yeah. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect me. I don't care what the gas prices are. I don't care what's going on, right? Yeah. If I don't give attention to it, it does not affect me, right? The gas prices are still what they are. But if I give attention to it, they're going to fucking affect me.
Yeah.
They're going to affect my bank account. They're going to affect everything, right? So I don't get, and people will look at and they're like, and because I don't even have any answers sometimes. You know what I mean? About how my life is. Well, how's your life? You know what? I don't even really know.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not even really sure. It just always works out.
Yeah.
Everything's just always working out for me.
That's how it should be. And you said something really important about attention. I'm a professor, so I teach students and I teach ethics, which by my definition is how you choose to live your life. Mm-hmm. And one of the concepts I share in there is that attention is your most valuable asset. It is your consciousness reflected in the external realm. So as you said, if it doesn't meet your attention, it never becomes part of you. And you have control over that. The problem is in today's era, we're in a social media technological, wonder house where their focus is to grab your attention, keep it, and monetize it. So our attention, most people's, just gets taken from them. Your most valuable asset gets taken from you all the time and wasted and turned into money for these companies. Think about that. If that's true, if you really recognize that's your most valuable asset, what are you going to do with your attention? Where are you going to focus it? How are you going to develop yourself? How are you going to help your family? How are you going to help others? How are you going to help the world? Focus your attention on that. Don't let it just drain off into these social media time sucks that leave you nothing but feeling worse at the end of it. Yeah. Then what have you gotten? Yeah. You've given your attention, your most valuable asset, for pain. Yeah. Oh, that's a good trade.
Yeah. That's an educated decision.
Right. That's
right. And I'm telling you, I'm just talking to somebody out there. They're talking about the president. I go, it has nothing to do with me. Yeah. I put my focus on my family, like you said. And here's another one, because I've been my own test dummy through this process of like reprogram my subconscious. When I tell people about that, I'm studying my own mind, my own body, and my own spirit for like 4 years now. You know what I mean?
That's great.
And it's bro, it's not easy. You have to have balls to do it. Yeah. You got to look at yourself.
Yeah.
Ooh, you got to look at yourself. Yeah. You got to look at the truth.
Yeah.
The truth, and be honest with yourself. But here's the thing that and even knowing all these things and having all this knowledge, I will still do it. Because the person that best knows about something, what not to do, is the one that does it. You know what I'm saying? Right. And people, whatever you see in them is what you're going to get. It's I've witnessed it. The biggest a-hole in the world. If I'm giving attention to looking at the good things of them, that's the part of them I get.
Yeah.
I am in 100% responsible and control of my reality. Yeah. There is nothing. I'm responsible for everything that's happening to me.
Yeah.
Everything.
That's strong.
And once I embody that, once I believe that, and once I know that I am the creator of my reality, I am absolutely zero victimless. I am victimless.
Yeah.
So I even know it when somebody's coming at me or my ex-wife or whatever it is. I'm like, man, I did it again. I was thinking negative about them.
Yeah.
And it's true. And I watch it happening. And then I watch me think positive and watch the positive come out of it. Oh, man. If I could just, on a day, I just write it down and read it every morning. I've tried that too, like to remind yourself, Yeah. And this guy that teaches Kabbalah, and we've talked about this before, every moment, every room you walk into, every day that you wake up is a new energy, because we're given with the gift of forgiveness. Yeah. So it's a new energy. So I could be on one energy the one day, and when I wake up in the morning, so for me, and I preach this on the show a lot, how we start our day is the most important. It's what's creating our day. Mm-hmm. So if I wake up in the morning, and we all have it, we're human minds, we think about shitty stuff when we wake up. What can go wrong, et cetera, et cetera. So like what you're feeding in your head, so as soon as I get up in the morning, I put headphones on, Abraham Hicks, something positive, right? And I start that out. And I won't. I don't care if I'm late to work or what it is. Until I leave the house in a positive vibration, I'm not leaving the house. I don't care what I'm late for, right? Because otherwise, my day is why even live that day?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it's definitely work, and I think for me, I had to be in enough pain, Alan, you, I'm sure, Wade, in order to be willing to make this change.
Yeah.
Because it's not for the weak, man. It is not for the weak to be aware. And then once you're aware of all these things, you have so much you're intaking. Once you're paying attention to everything, it's a lot to navigate through.
Oh, yeah.
I almost wanted to give up the other day and turn to Christianity. I said it because they talk about it, that people, you know, and I go to church every Sunday with my kids or whatnot, and I can see, that's the thing is that, and we talk about in the show always too, is like, I can see God in anything that's love. You know what I mean? So whether it's Buddhism, Christianity, Muslim, whatever it is, like I can see it in all those things. But I literally thought of it the other day. I was just in a lot of pain, self-inflicted pain, of course, because that's the only pain there is. And I was just like, man, maybe if I could just go over there and read the Bible, you know, and then and be good, you know. Yep. But no, you know,
looking for that outside thing.
Yeah, looking for that outside thing, and it's like, no, you got this, like, because it takes some disruption. Like there has to be some disruption to navigate through this thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we're talking any inner body stuff, you know, stuff you can't run from. So it's definitely a process.
Yeah. And you talked about the fact that, you know, it takes self-reflection and self-work, and, you know, it's hard. And there's a quote from Blaise Pascal, this philosopher from, you know, back a few centuries, but he said, you know, I'm paraphrasing, but all the problems of humanity are caused by the fact that that a person can't sit alone with themselves in a room for 30 minutes. And think about that. How many people do you know could just, no phone, no nothing, go sit in that room, hang out with yourself for 30 minutes? Yeah. They don't like it. They don't like what they see. You got to start with self-love. They're just like, give me something to distract my attention, please, because I don't like this. So that is the solution. Like you need to be okay with this. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone screws. Everyone. You gotta like start with the self-love, because no one's gonna give it to you if you don't give it to yourself. Yep. And you can't give it to anybody if you don't give it to yourself. And then once you realize that you're good, that you're grateful for the fact that you're alive, then you can go out and change things for the better. You know, head off in a good direction. And the other thing you talked about was hardships and adversity. And it's so true that development and growth, I mean, for the most part, there are, I guess it could be positive, but almost always comes from negative experiences where you realize where I'm at is not able to handle what I'm dealing with. Right. And so I got to elevate. I got to grow. I got to learn. I got to raise my consciousness. Otherwise, this isn't going to work. Yeah. And you know, if everything happens how it's supposed to, well, it's supposed to happen so that you can grow. That's why you had this difficult experience. That's why you're going through this, so that you can become better. And then, the next time that thing comes around, it won't even bother you because you've worked on yourself. That's when you know, oh my gosh, I've done something. Look at, this is evidence. Yeah. And you just know it for yourself. Right. No one else needs to know, it's you.
Yeah. So how do you think in this day and age, how does someone start to change those things about themselves? How does someone start to develop their consciousness in a direction that they actually want to go in life? You know, like everything around us, there's so much negativity. We have social media that is just rotting our brain. Like you said, we can't pay attention to anything. We can't sit by ourselves without any distraction whatsoever. There's a lot of negativity rolling around in our heads, and we may or may not recognize it about ourselves. But once you recognize that, hey man, like I really have a lot of negativity floating around within my consciousness. What's your advice? How does someone start to kind of shift their consciousness in the other direction?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's so true. I mean, the issue is the system that we find ourselves in is not an ideal system for us to live the best life. It's not. It's designed in a way that's actually hurts us. It will take your attention. It will hurt you. So the first step is realize that you have a problem. Realize this is not working.
This is not okay.
It is not okay. And then if you get the responsibility thing, that's hard to grasp right there. But if you take responsibility for your life and put it in your own hands, then you don't blame social media. You don't blame your parents. You don't blame You put it all on yourself and say, okay, this is my fault because I've chosen to live this life. How do I choose differently? It's all on me. Let's go. And then you start looking at some things that are self-help or self-development. And what you'll find is that things will come to you, like me and you meeting each other at basketball. Synchronicity. Life gives you what you need when you need it, right?
Yeah.
If you've got your head down and your blinders on and so you're just living life like, a materialistic whatever, you'll never see these things. Your head, you can't. So you have to recognize and then be looking, be aware, keep your eyes peeled, and those things will come. And then when they come, even when you're not paying attention, but you never see them because you're not paying attention. But now, and these little bitty things start to happen, and it makes it easier to go on that path.
Right.
So that would be self-awareness. Plato, someone I respect, a philosopher from way back, he says it's ignorance. People are ignorant, and that's why they don't develop themselves. And so you're just ignorant if you're not recognizing the power you have and how you can change your life. And the vast majority of people are just ignorant. It's not like they're evil. They're just ignorant. They don't know. Anyone that knows what we know about consciousness and making would obviously choose to go down the path and figure out how to make life better.
Right.
But they don't even know, or they don't believe it even when they hear it.
Right. Right.
It's
not aware. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like and once you acknowledge you have a problem too, I think there's also no getting away from it. So like the beginning of my journey, it's like, okay, I already know there's a way to go. And so like now it's weighing on your head.
Yeah.
So it actually doesn't give you a choice once and maybe that's why we're afraid to be aware, because then we're not going to have a choice.
Right.
Right. Once I acknowledge it, right, and accept it, now I don't have a choice. That's going to be weighing on me. So it's easier for me to ignore it.
Yeah.
But people don't have any idea. They don't have any idea.
They just think this is how it is. Life's hard. This stinks.
Yeah.
Well, it stunk for my parents. It stinks for me. I just keep on stinking.
Yeah.
No, you can make a totally different choice. And that's another thing I always teach is choice. Whatever happens in your life, you have the choice of how you interpret it and how you take that and what lessons you learn.
Right.
And think about it. The same experience. Someone could grow up with, an alcoholic, abusive father. And that's how they grow up. And vast majority of the time probably leads to really negative outcomes for that child in life. But someone could go through that same experience and go, I don't want that to happen to me. I want to be the best dad I could ever dream of being. And because of that same experience, they become fantastic as a father.
Right.
So that's the choice. That's what I'm talking about. Your external circumstances do not control what you become. It's what you learn from them that determines what you become.
Choice.
And that's the power of choice, which we all have every second of our lives.
Yeah.
Right.
Hard to grasp, but true.
And that's why sometimes I don't want to hear fucking excuses.
Yeah.
When people,
Yeah.
when people this or that, I don't want to hear excuses, right? Because it's choice.
Yeah.
It's choice, and I think it's belief. Belief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You believe.
Yeah.
Belief.
And if you don't believe it, sometimes you got to make yourself believe it. You may, like I've talked about my story before about, I never knew what it felt like to love myself, right? And I wanted to feel that feeling, and so I would look in the mirror and tell myself that, and I didn't believe it for the longest time, but I just kept doing it, right? And then that feeling really started to enter me, like, I am grateful to be alive. I am grateful to be where I'm at, regardless of my circumstances, regardless of what happens. I'm just grateful to be alive. And I had to sit there and tell myself that, not believing it for so long before it actually became reality,
Yeah.
And it's also, and we've talked about this, and you just talked about this earlier, the conversation we had before, but that's it. I'm done. I am changing now.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That power that it gives you inside of you. That's your first win. That's your first win, man. That's like the most, out of all of us, is the most beautiful thing when I hear that, when I see that, and when I did it myself. That's enough is enough.
Yeah.
I'm going to change it. When you just go over that barrier, man, like that's your first win.
Yeah.
And I think and we talked about it's these small little wins. And then your next little win happens, your next little win happens. And then you're looking like, oh my gosh, this is who I am.
Yeah.
There's one episode we did, I was like, and I was like, fuck, believe in myself. I believe in myself.
Yeah.
So I'll have these like epiphanies, acknowledgments about myself, or how I react to something, or how I handle a new situation. And then someone's like, whoa, Like, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
It's the most beautiful thing, man.
Yeah.
It is the most beautiful thing. Growth is the most beautiful thing because it's the hardest thing to overcome, dude.
Yeah.
Self-mind, consciousness, spirit. And it just gives us that security, man, of I trust myself.
Yeah.
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 I trust myself.
Then you can handle whatever comes your way.
Yeah.
I mean, think of how many people have hardships in life and they just crumble. And all they do is talk about, oh, I had that alcohol, I didn't have an alcoholic dad growing up or abusive or anything like that. But I'm just saying this, oh, that alcoholic dad, my life's hard. This is what happened to me. And they retell that story over and over again. And they live it and they experience it and they are a victim and their life's done. They're not growing. They're done. They're just a shell of who they could be. And it's the choice and the power that you talk about, that you feel, and the successes you have, and they're internal. It's all this inside game. No one else even needs to know or be aware. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it for you or anybody. I'm doing it for me because I want to have the best life I can.
Yeah.
And that's why you do it.
Yeah.
And then you start to experience it.
And that's the thing too, is people, and I talk about it all the time, talking about their problems.
Yeah.
Talking about your problems.
Yeah.
And you realize it's like becoming a solution person.
Yes.
Because the more I talk about it, because in the program, because we talk about the program a lot, NAAA or this or that, and they're constantly identifying with their problem.
Yeah.
It's insanity. And we have the girl we do live with, and she's going to school for drug counseling. And the first thing they teach her in drug counseling is not to identify with your addiction. Right. But then there's this trap in society who tells us not to go inside. Come to me to help me. Get this to help me. Go to this. They don't want us knowing our own power. Yeah. Nobody wants us. If everybody knew it, there'd be nobody to work at McDonald's.
Yeah.
If everybody knew that they were capable. But this is all coming out now.
Yeah.
People are waking up.
Yeah.
Here's my next question for you, Wade.
Yes, I'm ready.
Dimension, timeline shift. Do you believe that we are in a timeline shift?
That's a great question. I think we're at the most pivotal point in human history. I think, all of us are on this planet. We're all alive right now. If you're listening to this, you're alive. Like, just sit and think for a second about where we are in history and what's going on. There's so many things coming at us so quick.
So fast.
Unbelievable.
So fast.
And I always tell people, today's the longest day you'll ever have. What does that mean? That means time is condensing because of AI and its technological development. Every day is going to get shorter and quicker. More stuff's going to come at us. There's some stats, and I'm going to get these wrong, but, all of human history, all the information that people took in their lifetime back in the Middle Ages, we take that much information in like 2 days. They took it in a lifetime. For us, it's coming at us in 2 days. That's going to become more condensed every day we go forward. Okay. So our minds, our physical brains weren't designed necessarily to handle what's coming. And so we have to we got to prepare for what's coming and deal with this avalanche of change.
So yeah, but because they talk, I'm sure you heard about going into the fifth dimension, about everything shifting. So with that 3D change, like I believe, like I feel it, like the energy of the world consciousness is shifting, right? That we're shifting. Like I believe it. I feel it in my own body. We are shifting into a new reality, right? So it's like I told him, like I went and picked up my daughter and my whole life changed, right? Like my whole overnight, boom, like I quantum leaped.
Yeah.
Different light. So it's kind of like, between the spiritual world and the physical world, and kind of juggling that, but I can see the shift. And so what they talk about, because we're talking about what you give attention to, right? Yeah. So we're talking about two different realities, people being stuck in the old reality and the awakened people being stuck in the new reality. We're all still here in physical form. You know what I'm saying? But you're sitting next to me, right? But we're living two different realities, right? So there's those of us that live on this one side of the reality and those of us that stay in the old world. Do you believe?
Yeah. I think that's essential. And we started out, I think the conversation with, we all live in our own world, right, where it's all created. And it given the number of difficulties that are coming our way right now, it is essential that humanity make that shift, that we learn our lessons and head in that direction. The more that make it, the better, but it's possible for all of us. Everyone has the potential, but they have to want it and realize what's going on. Then they'll see in that different dimension, they'll see the world differently.
And so I also believe, like, through my spiritual awakening process, if you want to identify that, awareness, subconscious, however, whatever you want to call it, born again or whatever it is, for me personally, because of what's happened to me has been internally and there's been no stopping it. I feel like there's those that it's meant to happen to and those that it's not. I feel like you can't force it to happen, but I don't know. You're actually, the way you've explained things have actually proven me different in a way. You know what I mean? But I feel like it's something that it happens on its own, that it happens because of my experience has been forced. There's been no other choice. Right. And I've never been consistent on anything in my life. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. For a complete switch to be turned like that, I feel like there's those of us that it happens to and those of us that it don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can't to tell somebody, okay, this is how you do it. You know what I mean? It's just such an eternal thing that I don't have an explanation for. Yeah. My personal. And we're all so unique.
Yeah.
We are all so unique. They tell us we're all the same. They say for us all to be the same. They say for us to be like each other. Oh, you're not different. Don't think that you're different. They tell you that. Don't think you're anything special. We're all so special, man. And we're all so unique. Yeah. Like our story. And because, like you said, we all look at things in a different way. So we're all living in a different reality.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's a wild trip, man.
It's powerful. But like when you made that change, I mean, you made a choice, right?
Okay, correct. I could have made a different choice, yes.
So you chose to start that process, and maybe the process took over at some point. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, but you had to make a choice to pay attention to that book.
Yeah. Right.
If you didn't do that, you'd be doing the same thing you did before.
Right.
And so, in my opinion, one little thing like that, look at what it did to you. That's powerful. So, to me, it's not that complicated or difficult. You just have to make the choice with when something comes your way to redirect you from just subconsciously keeping your head down and going through the same motions and doing what you did before that book, right? I mean, that's what most people are living. But they don't have to. And you say, I don't know if it's a chosen thing or not. Maybe it is. But I just want people to know they have a choice, because if they don't believe they have a choice, then they're not going to change.
Right.
Nothing's going to happen.
Right.
You got to give people you got to give people hope. You got to give people something to hold on to that it can get better, because a lot of people are in dire straits and difficult circumstances. It's not good. And they are unhappy and miserable and maybe depressed. I don't know. But that light, that hope, and you do that by just living, just being yourself. If you're, on that path, just like talking to people, like you said, it made you feel better. Like that's the power of that anyone has to help a fellow human being. Right.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. Right. And it's just wanting to, your intention. Is that what you want? You want to make the world better? Just take little steps to make that happen. And you will be making the world better. And you don't know what the implications of your actions are. You never know the consequences of your action, ever. Just with the students I teach, one of these students could remember something I said 20 years from now.
Right.
You don't live to see the seeds you plant. You know what I'm saying? You're just living your life. Someone could see you just walking down the street and how you interact with someone, and that could change their whole life. They'd be like, that's the truth. And it's little bitty things that I think can make the difference.
And that's what I say to everybody. We're changing the world by changing ourselves.
Yeah.
Stop trying to change everybody else.
Yes.
The more we change ourselves, I so many times I ran into people and they're like, man, I could feel your energy and your light and your this or that. And how did you get it? Right. Or whatever it is. And so that's why I'm so big on too, is like not telling people what to do and just kind of being. Yeah. And that's where the real change is, because you see how it is, man, when, you know, there's a room full of 20 people, there's one negative person, the whole room goes negative, right? But there's that one person, or there's that one person you're always happy to see, man. Like, I can't wait to see that guy, or I love seeing that guy because his energy just changes everything, you know? And so it's just people, it's just going inside and going inward, man.
Yeah.
So what do you believe about Christ consciousness?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of maybe the reason we're here to try to get to that point. And, you know, Christ developed his consciousness or had an intuitive head start, whatever the case may be. But, you know, he got there and he shared that with others. And all of us are capable of getting to a higher state of consciousness. And that is, you know, the way I view life is it's like a classroom. It's a school. And you're a teacher, you know, everyone's a teacher. Life's a teacher. What lessons do I learn to help progress myself toward that goal of raising my consciousness, of becoming a more ideal human being? Because if you don't view it that way, again, you're not having that potential to open up and give you somewhere to head, somewhere to go. So I think that it's vital to give people a goal, you know, or an aspiration, something that they can head toward, because most people are not happy with where they are.
Yep.
Right.
So point out that look at history, look at these people that did wonderful things. You can do the same. You know what I mean? And that gives some hope.
Because I mean, he said it over and over again, and people tend to ignore it. The kingdom of heaven is within.
Yes.
But we always look at it as a place that we're going.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
A place that we're going. That's what our live is about this Sunday at 9 p.m. is exactly about that. Is about, you know, is heaven and hell a place we go to, or is it a state of mind? I truly believe it's a state of mind. And he said the kingdom of heaven is within. Do as I do. Said it.
Yeah.
Right. But people just don't focus on that enough. We're such powerful individuals.
Yeah.
We're such powerful individuals. And again, like you said, like we need purpose as humans. So like having that purpose, right? When you're purposeless, you're just nobody. You're going nowhere.
Just floating around, being pushed by the winds of life.
Getting pushed by the winds of life. So like having a purpose, and then having a purpose and knowing how powerful you are and how in control you are.
Yeah.
Superpower.
Yeah. And it's just a realization and then putting it into practice. I mean, another quote, I like quotes because I think they contain a lot of truth in a short amount of words. But another, Yogi Berra, Hall of Famer, baseball, baseball player, he said, this is one of my favorite quotes. He says, in theory, there's no difference between theory and practice, but in practice there is. And if you think about that.
Wait, say that again.
In theory, there's no difference between theory and practice, but in practice there is. And what he's saying is you can talk about stuff all you want. You can think about things, but until you embody it, until you put it into your daily practice, it is just an idea, a concept, but then it becomes a practice. Then you see the results, then you feel the difference, and then you start to live in a whole new life.
Yeah.
Because of that choice. But it's the practice. It's always the practice. You practice, you wake up and you want to get in a positive mood. You do actions to make that happen. You don't just sit there and like let your mind wander. You take action, right? Yeah. That's the key to life, is to put it into practice. Once you know something that's beneficial for you, put it into practice.
And if you don't put it into practice, it becomes torturous. Because you know it. That's the thing about knowledge. You know? And they say, you know, a dream without action is just a dream.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we talk about all the times. I could read all the books I want. I could write listen to all the past podcasts I want until I take some action. Man, there's nothing. And I think in like the spiritual community and, and Abraham Hicks and this, that, they leave action so far out of it. And so a lot of people get lost in that. You know, a lot of people get lost in that and just meditation and just these things, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it becomes I want to go live out on a farm somewhere with 20 people and be like what impact are you having on the world?
Right.
Because we're here, like we're all fathers, right? But if we're just fathers, like we could have done a lot more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I think we all have, especially once you have some knowledge, like it's our duty to do what we're doing right now.
Right.
Yeah.
It's our duty. We won't feel fulfilled without it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our consciousness is just like our muscles. If you don't use it, you lose it. Right.
Yeah.
And And if we just constantly just wait for things to happen, and I believe that, you know, you do attract what you receive in life, right? And sometimes you don't have to be taking this specific action or have a specific intention. Sometimes things just happen because, like we said, that's what's meant to happen for you. But at some point, there has to be some action taken to you know, utilize your consciousness in order for it to be of any value, I think. And a lot of, you know, like Carlos said, a lot of the spiritual community, they just want things to happen, and you know, you can want things to happen all you want, but it's not going to happen if you don't make it, I think, at some point, you know.
Yes, and it's about putting it into practice and living it on a daily basis. You know, habits form because you do the same things over time. So if you've been doing dumb stuff over time, it's just habitual. And if you start to do good stuff over time, it becomes habitual. It's the same thing. Our bodies are designed to run on habit. Otherwise, we'd be a mess. It wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So you want to think about, what are the habits? What am I thinking when I wake up? How do I approach the day? Those things will become part of your character, part of who you are.
Well, what are the conversations you're having with people? What are you talking about on a daily basis?
What are you trying to elevate? Are you bringing down? Are you complaining, whining about your life and all? Like, what's that?
But it's also being committed to that thing too, because I'm going back and forth. I'm this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's just uncertainty energy, you know? So it's about that straight line, man, and direct.
Yeah. Heading in that direction.
I'm curious more about what you do for a living as far as teaching and everything. Just can you what's your story? How'd you get there?
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, I grew up in South Carolina, in a small town called Hanahan, a little bitty place, not many people, 20,000 maybe, and lived in the same house for 18 years. And then I went off to college, a little college called Davidson in North Carolina, 1,400 students, and most people only know about it because of Steph Curry. He played basketball there. Okay. And, you know, and after I graduated from college, I went to law school, you know, at the University of Virginia. So I became a lawyer. And the only reason I did that is because everyone around me was like, you're smart, you can speak well, you can read, you should be a lawyer. And that's the only reason I did it. I didn't have any internal motivation to be a lawyer. It wasn't I didn't have any role model. I just just following what society told me to do. And I practiced law for 5 years. And, you know, it didn't jive right. I was stressed. It wasn't enjoyable. And then I reflected on, well, I have these degrees. Okay, I've worked hard to get them. How can I not waste those? What can I do with those, but enjoy my life? And I looked through I got this book called What Can You Do with a JD? And I flipped through it. And one of the things was a professor. And I remembered back to Davidson, you know, which was this little school, but it was a really good school. It had really good professors. And I remember like, gosh, I loved going to school. It was fun to learn. And the professors had a big impact. Let me try that. So I worked my tail off. I got a master's in information system and I became a professor. And so I've been doing that, for a couple of decades now, a long time. But, you know, I had a law degree, so I'm teaching business law, which is kind of mundane, typical stuff. But then I got an ethics class, business ethics. And at first I'm like, okay, I got to figure this out. How do I teach it? But the more I started to get into it, the more I realized ethics, like I said to you guys, is how you choose to live your life. That's all ethics is. And ethics means if you're living ethically, you're living in alignment with the natural law. Talk about alignment. So now ethics is actually the most important concept you could ever learn in the classroom, and I'm teaching it. So once that hit me, I figured, gosh, I better figure this out. Because prior to that realization, I was teaching ethics as a concept, like Yogi Berra, you know, theory, not practice. Here's the theories, here's, you know, these conceptual things. But then I started to teach it as a practice, and I started to show the kids, the students of mine, how to live life in a better way. It's basically raising your consciousness via ethics. You know what I mean? It's like I use that as a mechanism to show them, because it's all aligned. If you raise your consciousness, you can't be unethical. You know what I mean?
Right.
Ethics and consciousness go hand in hand. I don't know. Maybe they're intertwined. I don't know, but they don't separate. So it's cool that in my classroom, I can teach these really powerful things that aren't they would never experience anywhere else.
And they don't even know.
Yeah,
they don't even know what they're being taught.
Right.
That's pretty cool, man.
It is. It's like a Trojan horse. I snuck it in there, and the payoff's awesome. Like, I love what I do. I have fun, and my students, really appreciate it, and it changes their lives. Not all of them, but many of them. I mean, what more could I want? I have a job I enjoy. I get to do what I love, and I get to help people, and they appreciate it. Sign me up.
Yeah, you're living the dream.
Yeah. It could be a lot worse.
Yeah.
It could be a lot worse. So, yeah.
Right. I would love a copy of your book.
Yeah, man, I'll send you a copy. It's a Conscious Business Ethics, a Practical Guide to Wisdom. And, and wisdom, right? I mean, it's cool in that it teaches you kind of these methods for raising your consciousness from scientific angles, from psychology, from systems thinking, from philosophy, just showing you that all these, different things are all saying the same thing.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. They're all the same. Everything's saying it's just like all the religions and all the wisdom traditions.
It's all the same.
They're all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
They just said it differently because of the time period they were in and the people they were talking to.
Yeah. This is just a monumental time. This is such a beautiful time to be alive.
It is.
People think the world's ending, and I think it's the most beautiful time to be alive.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful to be aware of it.
Yeah.
I'm
cognizant.
Really grateful to be on this side of it.
I know, because it's things are going to change so much, so fast. And the fact that that you're here, just anyone listening, the fact that you're here right now, pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Like, realize, okay, so what am I going to do about it? Like, there's a lot of stuff happening. What's my role? How can I help to make things better for as many people as I can?
Yeah.
And, play your role and see what happens, because it's necessary. As you say, you feel it and you see it happening. It's an essential time for this to happen, really.
Yeah, well, Wade, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
I had a great time.
Man, this
just
this
flew.
is great. Yeah, it did fly.
Yeah, man.
In 10 minutes.
I know, seriously.
Yeah.
No, this was a blessing to have you. And like you said, this is our first male guest, right?
Yeah. I was so excited to have you on, man, because you just have the educational side of this, for me. Like, I've gotten so much more understanding. I've gotten so much information right now that gives me an understanding of my own journey,
Well, that's awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, so I really appreciate you coming on. I know we're going to have you back.
I'd love to be
Absolutely.
back. It was really awesome talking with you guys.
You have any social media, or you want to promote your book?
I mean, I have
anything to throw out there?
I've mentioned my book a few times. I have a website, wadechumney.com. I have interestingly, I do have a YouTube channel with my colleague, Cynthia Ruiz, a brilliant woman. And it's called The Consciousness Renaissance, with AI capitalized in Renaissance, because, the Renaissance occurred and changed society for the better way back. Now I think we're in a new Renaissance where society is going to change for the better, and AI is going to play a role, which is why, so we got to talk about consciousness Renaissance. How is consciousness and AI going to create a modern Renaissance that's going to make the world a better place and make all of us better people? So that's a YouTube channel. Just you can check that out.
Cool,
and
cool. And how do you spell your website?
Wade, Wade Chumney, CHUMNEY.com.
All right, great.
Yeah.
Great. Well, it's been a great conversation. We appreciate it. Guys, hit us up. Social media, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. We're out there. Appreciate everyone for watching. We love you guys, and we will see you soon. Much love. Peace.